Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. If you're looking for jewelry that makes an impact on your self-care routine and your style, Empowerography would love to offer you a discount code to one of our exclusive partners, Quartz and Canary Jewelry and Wellness Company. Please use code EMPOWER15 to receive 15% off upon checkout at www.quartzandcanary.com. Quartz and Canary is truly the place where spirituality meets style. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest is Susan Fisher. She is the CEO and co-founder of Body of Nine. Susan, how are you this morning?
Excellent. Excited to be here to talk with you.
I am so grateful and thankful and honored to have you here with me today to share a little bit about your experience and your story. So thank you so much for making the time. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too.
So, Susan, you have been a lifelong student of personal transformation. You have a degree in mathematical economics, an MBA and an MA in finance and international management. You have worked in management consulting, high-tech marketing, finance, but none of these choices or career paths fulfilled you until you found your higher purpose or calling in, I think it was 2002. Can you share a little bit about your journey that led to this discovery for you?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Back in the 1980s when I was a young woman, I followed a path that was laid out for us, which was very much go to the best school you can get into, get the best job you can have, make the most amount of money you possibly can, buy your house, get married, have your kids. So I did that and was very successful at that. And I woke up in my mid-30s and realized that somehow, despite doing all of that, I was married to a very sick person and I had 3 kids and my life had gone absolutely crazy. I had spent 9 years at that point, my relationship with my now ex-husband, who was a drug addict, alcoholic, and an abuser. And 9 years in a relationship like that suggests that you're a codependent. Right. I was like, I didn't even know what a codependent was.
Yeah.
So I began to dig into how did my life go so crazy? How did I go so crazy? When I look back on that time, I'm not even sure how I got through those years. And so I started a journey. I started my journey with Al-Anon. This first thing I did was went out there and I thought, I'll do an intervention and I'll try to save this relationship. That's how crazy codependent I was and how manipulated and groomed I was. So that went on for another 3 years. But as that went on, I realized that Al-Anon wasn't going to be enough for me, that it was, it got me out of the hole I was in. It started to teach me about the structures that I was used to living in. It revealed the historical family structures that I was raised in that I was unaware of, because secrecy is always at the center of this kind of a world.
Yeah.
And my mother had been raised in a similar situation and had created a model of expectation for me in how I perceived and entered into relationship. And because I was so far off base at that time, and I didn't know. So I began to learn and educate myself. I did everything that was possible and available to me. I became a life coach through the CTI Coach Training Institute, which was way back in the early days of life coaching. And as part of that, I had this experience in their leadership program where I found out my natural number.
Okay.
Which we'll describe what that is shortly.
Yeah.
And so once I got to that point, that was the point where who I was revealed to me.
Okay.
And that started the journey of the last 20 years.
Wow.
Forward to a place of health and joy and love. And I feel very grateful to be who I am today.
That is one hell of a journey.
It was hard. I was a single mom for 7 years with almost no income because I chose to be with my kids. And that was a big choice because I could have gone into Silicon Valley and had somebody else continue raising my children. And there was something in me that knew I had to be there for them. And so we learned how to live poor, which was a really interesting experience for a human who had always lived quite well, actually. I've been very fortunate. fortunate to that point. But I raised my kids on food stamps and healthy families and all the support systems that are there for single women. And that was really interesting too, because I've been raised in such a fortunate way. How did I get to this point?
Yeah.
The personal story around, to me, this is failure, right? By the way, I had failed.
Yeah.
By the way I had defined my world.
Yeah.
And so that was hard.
Well, here you are today, in a much better place. And I mean, it's all part of our journey in life. And all of these things shape who we become. So look at you now. I mean, it's incredible.
Well, yes. Someone recently asked, well, what would you change? I'm like, I can't change anything because I wouldn't be who I am.
There you go.
Sure. Maybe I would have shortened the period of time I was in that relationship, but it was the journey I had to go on. I had to drop into the pit of despair in order to climb my way out and learn to build the skills and the ways of being that are serving me today.
Yeah, that's right. So since you discovered your purpose and found out your own natural number, as you just mentioned, you've dedicated your journey and your work to the study and research of the 9 natural numbers. Can you explain exactly what the 9 natural numbers are all about?
This is based off essentially a potentially rediscovery that there are 9 physiologically different kinds of people. We have 9 centers in our body. There are 3 in the head and 3 in the chest and 3 in the core.
Okay.
When you're born, one of those centers, a set of muscles, bones, and fascia, are born more active than the other ones.
Okay.
And that is what we call your natural number. So it's a region of your body where you move. It also creates an activation of your physical senses in terms of how you take in information, how you experience life. It's the lens through which you create your own life.
Interesting. Okay. Now, can you give us a brief overview or bird's eye view of the definition or characteristics that correspond with each of the 9 natural numbers?
Yes, I can. I'll go in number order just because they're not physiological order.
Yeah.
So 1 is at the base of the throat, between the chin and the top of the throat, right under the chin, and it uses the hyoglossus muscles.
Okay.
And ones are really here to help us know that sources available for us to help us create in this world.
Okay.
To bring in new information so that we can express who we are at our most profound level. 2 is at the upper abs in the body, and 2 is about engaging for the sake of engaging. I just want to be with you because it is awesome to be with you.
Yeah.
And no agenda around it. The rest of us need, we need process. We need some reason to be engaging with each other. But 2, it's just like, I'm going to be here and adjust to be with you. 3 is at the top of the sternum, a little spot called the manubrium, is where this movement is centered. They kind of rotate their shoulders around that spot. It's very interesting kind of movement. And they're here to listen, recognize, and champion. They feed our soul's light into the universal field so we can be manifested. And basically, they smile and give us joy.
Simply put.
Us. They're just
simply put.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And then 4, which is your natural number, you create intimate connection. You know who needs to be connected to who, and you know how to help us be our most authentic self. So how do we tap into who we truly are at the deepest of levels? 5, which is my husband, Martin, is about context, understanding, clarity, making intuitive leaps to know more than we know, to know that everything is interconnected, everything needs to be congruent, and everything at some point is ultimately knowable. And then 6, which is my natural number, is about what direction are we going to go? What's the next step? What's most alive? That's the center of the sternum on the chest. And 6 is feel energy, and they respond and they synthesize, and then they know what's coming. 7 is the forehead. And 7 is about our potential. How do we achieve our potential by staying open to any possibility and rid ourselves of the things that are holding us back? 8 is on the low back at the sacrum, and 8 is, when we talk about grounding, we're talking about 8.
Okay.
8 truly grounds to the earth and pulls the power into the body from the earth. And they know how to manifest and to create with safety and build relationship through trust. And they know who needs to be involved to create things with integrity. So it is time to manifest it. And the energy of 8 needs to be there. And then 9 is on the spine between the shoulder blades. And 9s know that we're all one. And they know that in a physiological, spiritual sense, that our back is at some level the fulcrum for our impact in the universe, and that everything that we do, just a little tiny movement, if you think about a fulcrum point or a balance point, and something is rotating on the top of that balance point, out of the edges, it really moves a lot.
Yeah.
So nines understand how just a small action has a huge ripple effect. And so they help us to know who needs to be involved, what should be worked on, what's going to work, and how are things going to go awry, so that we can do the most with the least amount of effort and the most amount of impact.
Incredible. So does every human being identify with or have their own natural number?
I do believe so. I haven't met every human being or I haven't identified, but the evidence shows, and we've worked with over 8,000 people.
Wow, 8,000 people. Holy shit.
Yes. It's a real sample size. This is, this is real empirical data.
Yeah.
And we've worked with 48 nationalities, maybe even more now, because I haven't tallied in a while, from all races. We have worked with people with disabilities, mental illnesses. Everybody seems to have a natural number.
Interesting. So how does someone find out or identify what their natural number is? What is the process for figuring that out for each person?
Well, right now, you get on a Zoom call with my husband, Martin, and I, and we look at your body, and based off of our, learning, we're keen observers. And what we've been doing since 2012, when we first went to Burning Man and started doing this work in person with large numbers of people, we observed the specificity of the physicality. And so I learned what were the micro movements, what's the muscular hold in the face, what's the quality of the eye, and all of these things have to be there. We're working hopefully on a solution that will help our students. We have a new program in place, and we're working on an app to supplement their work with their students. Okay. So ultimately, I'm hoping that you'll be able to, at least work with a coach and the app to get identified. But it's tricky. It's so far the only detector that we have is the human being.
Yeah.
We have trained about 8 or 10 people to identify natural numbers, and we trained ourselves as well. So anybody can learn this.
Okay.
But you have to know what you're looking for, and you have to actually learn to activate all 9 energies in your body in order to do it.
Okay.
Which is an interesting wrinkle.
Yeah, for sure. Why would someone want to know or identify their natural number? What benefits would that provide for a person?
Well, most people come because they want to know something more about themselves. And, I think we're all constantly wanting to know ourselves better.
Yeah.
And some people come because there's something going on in their lives that they're unhappy. They know there's more, and they come to find out more about themselves. The act of identification is the start of the process. Once you have the connection between, it's sort of the alignment of your body, mind, soul that happens when you get identified. I don't know why. I can't tell you any of the whys of this, just some of the hows. And so you get identified, and then all of a sudden your life starts to change. And people come back to us and tell us story after story about, well, once I found out my natural number, I couldn't stay in that job, or I had to leave that relationship, or all of a sudden I got so much more productive, or I got happier. Yeah. And I think happier is probably the most consistent thing, is when you are acknowledged and recognized at this fundamental level. This is your nature. You were born to be this. And then nurture layers on top. And when you've got that nurturing layer on top, it takes you away from the core values and the core way of being that's fundamentally easy for you. So that recovery of yourself, which is what happened for me, it was like, oh my God, everything in my life up to that point had said, Susan, be quiet, slow down, and don't be so damn powerful. And I got given back permission to be as loud as I want, as fast as I want, and as powerful as I want, because that is what I'm here to be. I have a job. If 6 moves the world forward, if you're not a powerful person, you can't move anything.
That's right.
And so, to re-own that, to come back to, and I had experiences when I was a young woman, when I had a sense of significance and importance that I was going to play in the world. And I lost that for a good 20 years. And through understanding my natural number, I found it again. And now as I have evolved so much in the last 20 years from being this very, very broken, very just, I don't even know what the word for it is, but to a person who was not functioning as a human to this, spiritual leader and teacher. And that's been really fun to make this transition.
I'm sure.
So going back to the why is you don't actually know right now, but you will change in ways that are absolutely unanticipatable. For me, I've been a student of these systems, Myers-Briggs, Enneagram, all these. I was a searcher myself.
Yeah.
When I found this, I was like, oh, okay, it makes sense. It gives a context for everything to be true.
Yeah.
And yet for me to be unique.
Have you found with the people that you've worked with that they have already found their purpose or their mission in life, and this just kind of further propels them into that journey? Or has it been the opposite where a lot of the people don't know where they're going? They're kind of lost. And finding this natural number, identifying their natural number helps propel them into their purpose?
I would say it's all over the board.
Yeah.
Because people come to us in strange ways. And most of the time when they end up in front of Martin and I, they don't even know how they got there. They just did. Because we're so early. This is for early adopters at this point. This is for the people that truly are out there pioneering in their field.
Okay.
So they end up here and can be anything along that whole spectrum from traumatized to amazingly healthy. And the impact is really centered around getting your biological purpose back. So you may have found a big P, and we call it the little P and the big P, although it's pretty damn big P, the little P. It's like, what was the purpose of my body and me here on this earth around my nature versus around my decisions and choices that come over time, so I have chosen my big P is to get Body of 9 out into the world. Yeah. My little P is to be the most powerful and in the moment 6 I can be. Right. And they go hand in hand.
Right. Okay. Now, you say that the experience of identifying and supporting a person's first experience with their natural number is a very special and transformative one. What is it that makes this experience so transformative and special for people?
Well, it's because you get acknowledged at the level of your nature, sometimes for the very first time. Natural number does not repeat in family. What this means is your mother and father and sisters and brothers, unless there are more than 9 of you, are not the same.
Oh, okay.
So they don't take in information the way you do. They don't care about what you care about. They do not understand you at a physiological level. What happens is we get raised through the lens of these other people, and our behavior and our way of being is evaluated constantly through those lenses. And so we start to question who we are. When I acknowledge back to you this fundamental body-based purpose, all of a sudden you get permission to be you in a way that you have never had permission. So for some, it's an acknowledgement. For some, it's an awakening. For some, it's some people, have lived into their purpose and have been lucky in their life. And it's just oh, great. Thanks. Yes.
So there has never been a case that you have seen in the people that you've worked with where one natural number, like let's say me, we're just talking about me. So never have you come across an instance where I'm a 4, no one in my family, or it's not possible for anyone else in my family to be a 4.
Unless you have more than 9 people.
Right. Okay. But I just had a conversation with someone and she was saying that she was very connected and so in tune with her mother that she said at times where she'd be going through something, her mother would pick up on that and call her out of the blue and just know. So that
we are absolutely energetically connected. That is very different than how we perceive the world, how we respond, what we care about, what our values are. Right. So absolutely, we're all part, and this is what 9s teach us, that we're all interconnected. It could be that your friend was a 9 or her mother was a 9. They're even more so. I hear story after story from 9s saying, but that happens to all of us. I was just thinking about you and somebody calls, right? Mm-hmm. We're connected. That's the energetic, universal energetic field that's just there.
But they would not be the same. Number. They would not be the same natural number though. Okay. No. Just curious about that.
Absolutely not.
All right.
No.
So what is it about this work and helping people to discover their natural number, Susan, that lights you up and inspires you so much? Why do you love this so much in doing this work?
Well, in the largest cosmic sense, I see that it has evolutionary possibility for us as human beings. Okay. There's so much misunderstanding in the world, and it's the small, everyday root of all of our issues, right? Because we're not acknowledged, we're not understood, and we're not honored for who we are. And it turns out what I have witnessed with this work is when all 9 come together, which is very rare out in the world, unless you have just a lot of people, when all 9 come together, there's an ease, there's a wholeness, there's a relaxation, there's like all the jobs are being done. And so for me, at the biggest level, it's a possibility for peace in our world. It's a possibility for understanding and tolerance that we don't have today, because it does give a context for all of the religions to be true, all of the ways of being, all of the cultures, all of the nurture that lays on top of us is all true within this context. So you can have all the inconsistencies and paradoxes that we live with.
Yeah.
Because 9 is complex. It's a complex system. I wish it wasn't 9. It's a pain in the neck to write about it.
But at least you found and you love doing it. You love helping people identify.
I get to see people. People ask me all the time, don't you take on people's bad energy? I'm like, actually, no, because this is the place where everybody is perfect. Everybody is beautiful. And so what I get to do is I get to see the very best part of you without any of your crap. And so I don't know people. I don't know where they came from. I don't know what their family history is like. I don't know anything, but I know about them at this powerful level, and the beauty of acknowledging people. It's like, and because I've learned to activate all 9 in my body, I'm able to be with you more effectively. Like I can really feel my 4 being so active, being here with you in this amazing connection. So it makes it richer and deeper because you're here. And it makes me feel like, this is so good. I'm so glad I'm here with Brad, because this is important. And Brad is acknowledging that within me, that power within me. And it's just beautiful. It feels great.
It's funny because talking about all of this, and you and I were in a meeting last week together with a bunch of other people. And I found it very interesting that you had said when I finally got into the meeting that, we needed your energy, your 4 here in this meeting to help. I can't remember the wording you used, but just it was needed. I was needed to be there at that specific time. And I think there was someone else coming in at the same time as me to that meeting as well. They were a different number, and you just needed the both of us to be there, even though I was only there for a very short time. But I just found it very interesting that you had said that the timing couldn't have been better. We needed your energy in this meeting at this particular time.
The meeting was very squirrely. The leader of the meeting had come on, and she was in a place, she's 7, and she was exhorting us all to be the most amazing person and to stop wasting our time. Yeah. And to, show up. And so everybody was like, oh my God, I've got to show up. What does that mean? And so we were all in, and we were missing 2, we were missing 4 and 5, and 4 and 5 are both calming energies. Okay. In different ways. And so when the 2 of you came on the call, the energy level just went, we're okay now. And that's the impact we have. And as a 4, so you never know what it's like to be in the world without 4 energy, because you're always there when you're there, right? You can't not be there. Yeah. So you've never experienced life without 4, ever. Which is, a silly thing to say on one hand, but on the other hand, that's so profound. Yeah. You don't want to know what it's like, so you don't know your impact. Yeah. Yeah. Because it's always there. So you don't miss the lack of that impact. Right.
So at that meeting then, was there one of each number at least in that meeting?
Once 2 guys came on, there was at least one of every number.
And you had just said previously that when all 9 numbers come together, it's an incredibly powerful thing. So that's that's amazing. That is phenomenal.
Cool. It was a great experience for all of the people that were on that call. The reason I knew all their natural numbers is we're writing a book with Adriana where we've identified everybody. And the context of the body of 9 is laid out. So each person is a paragraph that describes how they're showing what their natural number's purpose is in the chapter that they've written. So I knew everybody's number. Yeah. And it was an amazing opportunity to get to show them the impact of no 9 and then all 9. It was a cool moment.
That's phenomenal. Now, you also say that the body of 9 shows up in so many aspects of human understanding and consciousness. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Well, it was a very interesting experience to identify and then read 25 chapters. So there's at least 3 of every natural number, except 6, but I know that one pretty well.
Yes.
Reading them and seeing the consistency of how they brought their wisdom forward. All 3 ones talked about creativity as the source of healing and growth and knowing yourself. Right. All the 2s talked about how important knowing yourself and engagement through others is. I mean, this is so fundamental. Yeah. We can't get away from it. But when we bring consciousness to it, it's truly transformational. For you as the host of this show, the more you stay in your connected with yourself and you're activated for, the deeper and the richer your conversations get.
Yeah.
And then you bring that deep richness to the world around you. And it's what makes we're all super attracted by your podcast because of you. So this stuff's so fundamental and so powerful. And it's everywhere. It is literally everywhere. And once you start to see it, you're like, how can we as humanity miss this? And my theory on that
how
is
did I not see this?
I didn't see it before either. So I have two theories. One is 9 is complex, and we are rarely together with people of our natural number. So you've never been in a room with 34s. It's an experience to be in a room with 30 people of your same natural number. When that happens, you go, oh my God, they are all like me. They are all like you. And so it's just, we don't have that happen. So we never get to see it. 9 is very diverse, and then you lay culture on top of the natural number. But you know how you see somebody, you say, oh, you look just like my friend so-and-so. Yeah. Well, if you share, physiological, coloring and race and those kinds of things, you're the same age and you're the same natural number, you will look a lot alike.
Huh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because the way of moving, the way of holding muscles in your face, the structures, for example, 3s are all really narrow and lean and straight, and they have long faces, round eyes, and smiles that go up into the eyes. And every 3 in the world's got that. To me, in some ways, they're almost the easiest to see out in the world because of their incredible smiles. Yeah. And what comes with the smile is the joy. And if you don't feel the joy from the smile from somebody, they're probably not a 3, or they're really sad.
Yeah.
So, like I said, the stuff's all around us, but because it's so complex and we don't know, nobody's ever told you about it. If nobody's ever told you about it, you have a fundamental assumption that we're either all the same, we're all humans, or we're all completely different because none of us have had the same nurture.
Right.
But it turns out there's these categories, and it's not about buckets. This is not about putting you in a bucket. This is about saying, this is how your physiology is informing you. Take it and be the gift that you were meant to be, because this is the magic of you.
That is so powerful. So powerful. I think it's incredible. You've been working on sharing this and bringing this discovery to the world through speaking at events, conferences, festivals, etc. How has this knowledge and information been received by the people you're sharing it with? And has everyone been fairly open to receiving and learning about it? Has there been much resistance from people? Okay.
I wish. We have, for many, people describe it as woo. This is not woo-woo, okay? It really isn't. This is a reality of your physical nature that connects into your spiritual nature. If you don't want to talk about your spiritual nature, we can just talk about your physical. Yeah. But it fuses them. So they come together in a new way. And, Similar Martin always uses the example about how radio waves were undetectable until somebody figured out that you can use a crystal to detect a radio wave. All of a sudden, something that was woo-woo became real. Right now, the only detector in the world is me, Martin, and 8 other people that I know that can do this. But, we've figured out how to teach people to be detectors of this. So there's a possibility. And the other piece, the reason I think that it's harder is because you do have to learn to activate all of your entire body in order to actually truly be with somebody and to feel their natural number. When I'm with you, I feel my 4 in my body because it just starts to happen. Whereas other people have no consciousness around that. They're not trying to connect with you using their low abdomen, but it just starts to happen for me because my body is so tuned to people. Right. Because I can activate all 9. And that's how I know when I'm right or not, when I'm identifying somebody. Otherwise, it's an intellectual exercise. And that's why the Enneagram and Myers-Briggs and personality systems only work about, 40% of the time. Right, right.
So has it been met with more resistance than positivity and acceptance in your experiences then?
Everybody who has the experience comes out and saying, oh my God, unless I get them wrong. Then they don't like me and they don't like what we're doing.
So how would you how would that happen then? If you get, does that happen often? Do you get someone's number?
Not very often. Okay. In the beginning, I would 85% of the time I was right when I first started 10 years ago. Yep. Now I would say I'm about 99%. And Martin and I always do this together. Right. So there's a cross check. And we both have to be 100% happy before we tell you what your natural number is. Okay. And that's what we're working on with the handheld app, is a cross check for people if you don't have a partner to help you. Because if you tell somebody the wrong natural number, in fact, my mother was identified by the people I learned this from. She was identified as an 8, but she's a 1. Oh. And so she spent 10 years not liking being an 8, not understanding it, and very resistant to this work. 10 years in, when I started to get better at doing this, I realized that she wasn't an 8 and that she had been misidentified. And so I had to reframe her whole interpretation of this system into one that made sense for her and her body. And now she's one of my biggest supporters. She loves that she's a 1, and she's taught me so much about what it means to be a 1, because she's really embraced herself, because this was there all along. She was just trying to put it in a framework that didn't work for her. And that's why when we're working with people and we describe the natural number, unless we see you become extraordinarily happy, we keep working. If you're unhappy, I have not seen you.
Okay.
Once you're happy, I know I'm right.
Okay. Now, you help help people identify their natural number. So once people identify with their natural number, what's next for them? Is there more work they can do with you, programs, etc.? Like, what type of work can they do, and how does it benefit them doing more work with this? Well,
the body of 9, the start is the assessment of your natural number. From there, you can learn physically to activate it consciously. So it's done through postural adjustment, a simple postural adjustment, and there's a different one for each of the natural numbers. Okay. So that's the first thing. And most people start by reading our book. We have 2 books that help you understand what this is and how do you apply it. So for the readers out there, Amazon.com, Body of 9, look it up and you'll find our books. So that is that self-study. And usually it takes 3 to 6 months for a person to, if they pay attention, and they're interested, to really get a handle on how amazing they are and how this applies in their life. Because you've got to spend some time weeding through what's nature and what's nurture.
Right.
And once you understand the nature part, you can start to nurture the nature, and all of a sudden you burgeon in your life. And we've seen that take anywhere from 6 months, to years. And it depends on your personal journey.
Yeah.
Where are you in your own personal development? What are you needing? What's going on for you? How much impetus for change is there? But for those who are, those early adopters who are called as a result of feeling the importance of this work, we have a partner program and we have a certification program. So our partner program is designed for coaches and holistic practitioners who want to get all their clients identified and integrate this work into their coaching. So they get their client identified, and then they add that to all of their coaching tools. Then we have our certification program, which is for people that want to learn to activate all 9 energies in their body. And anybody can do that. You don't have to be a coach or holistic practitioner. Right. We have all kinds of programs. Okay. But usually it's for people that want to help get this information out into the world because they got in their body how important this was. To not know this is to go through life blind when you could be sighted.
Okay. So the first thing obviously is to work with you and Martin to get their number identified. Then probably the next step is to pick up the book and learn more about your number and what it's all about and what it means to you and all of that. And then move into program. If you so decide you want to work further in this and learn more about it, then to start to work with you in terms of whether if you're a coach, you go that route. If you're not, you can go the certification on how to activate your 9 natural numbers within your body.
That's also designed for coaches so they get better at what they're doing.
Yes,
with their clients,
absolutely.
Right?
Of course. For someone who's not a coach or not in that world.
You can do both.
Yeah. Okay. You
can refer. You don't have to be a coach. Refer. I have a referral partner. She's just a mom in New York City and just trying to get her whole world identified. When you have more people in your world identified, it starts to explain the interactions. So in family, this is incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
But going back to your other question, we also have a YouTube channel.
Okay.
And we do a show called What If Wednesday every Wednesday. And it's a little half hour on what if Susan and Martin learned this week about Body of 9 and how you apply it. And so it's just Susan and Martin having a conversation about this work. And there's a whole, we've been doing it for a year. So I've got like 50 episodes. We're loading them up onto YouTube. Now we did it on a subscription service and now we're on YouTube. So you can go to YouTube and find Body of 9 there and subscribe. And we have lots of resources there if you're a video person.
Now, I know you've been doing a lot of work lately with a good friend of both of ours, Adriana, and the authors that she brings on board and works with in helping the authors discover and identify their natural number. Is this work with the authors beneficial to them in any specific way in terms of, does it help them to create and craft better when they're writing and create more meaningful work when they're writing or things like that?
Well, this was the first experiment that we did with Adriana on the first book. It just kind of it came organically. She invited us to write a chapter for the book. And then I said, well, Adriana, suppose we got everybody identified. And then suppose I wrote an intro, and just, it was serendipitous more than anything. But as I said, when I was doing it, it really struck me how consistently people are giving their messages, whether they realize it or not. In that one paragraph where they summarize what this means, what their journey meant, their sacred redesign experience, it always comes down to them explaining their natural number, and they don't even know it. The next book we're going to do, the younger self letters, we're going to do the identification much earlier in the process, and we're going to give them some support about what it means, and have them actually use the activation of their natural number to write their chapter. So we'll have a nice experiment there. It's like, well, how impactful was it in the first book, and how impactful is it in the second book? So I think it's pretty exciting.
That is very exciting. So how does the body of 9 or 9 natural numbers differ? I know you've mentioned this a few times now, Enneagrams. How do they differ from one another?
I think that most of the personality systems, as well as body of 9, come from this reality that there are 9 physiologically different kinds of people.
So they're all rooted in that
personality.
9. They're all rooted in that 9, that number 9.
I think so. Even if there's 4 or 7, there are still 9. We haven't found more, and we haven't found less.
Okay.
The fundamental difference between body of 9 and any of the personality systems is it's based off your body. It's based off the physiological presentation of your body and the energetic signature. So it's pretty accurate. And what we did to build our understanding is we started with the body, and then we asked people lots and lots of questions based off of them already being grouped by their body. Then we distilled very specific language and descriptions, because it turns out we use language very differently depending on the same word means something very different, like intuition. There's 9 versions of intuition, as it turns out. So those descriptions are designed specifically for each of the natural numbers. Whereas in the Enneagram or Myers-Briggs, they asked a lot of people a lot of questions. Then they grouped the answers to the questions in order to identify how you fit into that. The challenge there is when we answer questions, we often answer questions with our beautiful mind to say, oh, well, my mother would probably want me to answer it this way. And we very rarely know ourselves, and we're very rarely honest with ourselves when we're answering those questions. Okay. And then they ask the same question 17 ways to try to get you to be at least consistent. And we may or may not, like I have never tested out as a 6 on the Enneagram ever. And yet that is clearly who I am. The other challenge with systems like the Enneagram is if you get enough people that are misclassified, you get all of this mess around the edges. So the things like the wings and it's in there to make sense, I think, of the fact that they've got other people that aren't actually that number that think they're that number. And so they're trying to accommodate that. And so it's evolved with so many people over so many years. And also it started out as a personality model and was based off pathologies, things that are wrong with us. Yeah. Which is one way to identify your natural number. We don't do that. We focus purely on the physiology and the positivity. But, you can come from that direction. But then if you do any work on yourself, you get healthy, the pathologies no longer describe you. And then you get like me, which I am undescribable on the Enneagram because of that.
Very interesting. Okay.
So it's your nurture versus your nature.
I've been thinking about that lately because I've seen a lot of this talk about Enneagrams come up in the last little while. So I was just curious.
It's very popular. Yes.
Yeah.
My goal is to get body of 9 more popular than the Enneagram.
And I'm sure I have no doubt you will do that, Susan. Between you and Martin and everyone else you bring into this world and make aware and help identify, I have no doubt that you'll reach that. No
awesome. I will take that into
my
body brand and say, yes, we're going to do it.
I believe in you.
It's a pretty cool thing in life. When I hit 60, I was like, oh, wow. If I'm lucky, I'll have 2 to 3 decades left. If I'm really lucky, right? I stay healthy. I stay, and if I'm really, really lucky, I'll get another 60 years out of this. But, we'll see. But a minimum. And so Martin and I sat down and said, oh, okay, we are ready. This is it. There's nothing else that we're going to do for the rest of our lives. And that's a kind of a cool place to be.
That's a very
have your
cool place.
Entire life force energy dedicated to something that you think actually makes a difference and matters. I feel so lucky to have this in my life.
Well, that's it, right? Finding your purpose in life and having that purpose create an impact on people. there is no better feeling in the world. Honestly, because I wholeheartedly, with every fiber of my being, believe I've found my purpose. And that is this platform that
I think it's awesome what you're doing. I 100% support you, Brad.
That.
You know, we had that conversation a little while back. It's like, this is what you're really good at. Keep doing this.
Thank you. But I
mean, don't get distracted.
No, absolutely. But to know, because I mean, I don't know. I think about this a lot. The fact that there are so many people out there who never do find their purpose, that makes me really sad inside to think that there are so many people that go through life and just go to that job they hate. And, you know, it's really sad. So for me, to be able to have found, and for you to be able to have found your purpose is incredible in itself, first of all. Secondarily, to have that purpose, the work that you're doing, create such impact in the world and give back to people. That's like winning the lottery twice. It is one of the most incredible feelings in the world.
It is. And it's what keeps me going. You know, Martin and I have taken everything we've earned and all of our entire energy for the last 20 years, for me, you know, and sacrificed an awful lot in order to keep this work growing. Yeah. Because we know that we don't own this work. We're stewards for this work.
Right.
We are the custodians of this knowledge. And we hold that with a lot of responsibility, because it could be used for control. It could be used. In fact, I think it has been, frankly. But we will not go there.
That's a whole other podcast episode. But it's incredible. It truly is. It feels so amazing to be able to do this and to give back. And it's just, to me, it's incredible. Truly. It really is.
Well, I'm super grateful for it. And every day I wake up and I remind myself.
Yeah. Well, I think
I have to do the 7 tasks I don't want to do that day, but because I get fed by being with people now.
Yeah.
And it is, like I said, I get to see the most beautiful part and honor who people are at the level that, and they're just so grateful to be held like that.
Yeah. I honestly think it trumps money, hands down. That yes, we need, of course, we need money to survive and all of that, but finding that purpose and having impact with that trumps money every time, hands down.
Well, and I truly believe if you're doing what you came here to do as a human being, the universe will give you what you need to do.
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
And if that's money, if you need money to do that, you'll get the money to do that. If you don't need the money, no big deal, right?
That's right. Susan, to date, what would you say is your biggest high or your greatest win?
Well, I think it's exactly what you described there, Brad, which is I get to live into my purpose, and I get to have a really big purpose. And I just recognizing that and being brave enough to keep going every day with it, I think is my biggest win. What
do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
Well, it's certainly my sixthness. So as a 6, it is a really fun, all the natural numbers are amazing, okay, in terms of what you can do and how you impact the world around you. Being a 6, you get to experience the aliveness of the energy in the present moment. 6s don't have to work to be present. We don't meditate generally, for example.
Right.
I only had to do that if my head is spinning. But if I just lift and expand my chest and I sit here in this moment, this is where I know the truth. This is where I know the messages. This is how I can identify your natural number, because I can be with you and I can feel into who you are. And I could say, wow, you are this beautiful, deep, rich human. I know this is for, and I could do that with you. And because of how my body is equipped, that's what makes me so powerful. And the other piece of it is of having learned to do the other 8, because I can be here as a 6 and still be with you as a 4. Because otherwise we could be going like, really missing each other. I could get going at such a speed, because 6s are very fast.
Okay.
And so you help me stay with myself and to stay with you.
We balance each other out. Very cool. So speaking of success, Susan, how do you define the word success? What does that word mean to you?
I have my big P success, which is that enough people know about Body of 9 before I die or can't do this work anymore. Hopefully those will be simultaneous. That would be sad to me, not to get the work out into the world before my husband and I become unable to get it out there. Yeah. And that's why we have a sense of urgency around the work we're doing now. It's like we know we got a good 20 years. Yeah. But 20 years goes by in a blink of an eye.
It does.
So I have that perspective now. And I see my mother. My mother lives with me and she's in her 80s. And I was like, oh yeah, you do slow down in your 80s. It's very clear to me. So I was like, okay.
We better get this out there. We better get this work
out there.
going. Can you share a situation that's occurred in your life that you feel provides insight as to your character, who Susan is?
Well, I'll tell the story of my first spiritual realization. So
Okay.
I was really mad at my sister one day. I was about 12 years old, and she took my seat for watching the one TV show. This was in Belgium in the 1970s, and they only had like 3 TV shows on in English a week. So it was a big deal when we got to watch MASH. And so she took my seat, which was the best seat. And I was just really mad. I was like, give me my seat back. And she wouldn't. So I punched her really hard. I got really mad. But my mother was sitting right there. So she sends me to my room. So how could you do this, right? So here I am. I'm like, I get out of we had a mansard roof with a gutter. And I got out there in the gutter. And it was a night like I had never seen.
Yeah.
Stars just everywhere. And I was sitting there and I was like, trying to make sense of what I did and why did I do that? Why did I punch my sweet little sister so hard? She's a 4 like you, Brad. So,
is she? Okay.
Yeah, well, of course, you bring out the inconsistencies in us. So we often act out around you. And sometimes you'll take a punch because of it. But I got all of a sudden, I heard I was having a conversation with some universal level energy. And the energy said to me that, Susan, you have a greater purpose. You have to learn to use this power for good. And you must master this power in order to have the impact that you're going to have because you have something important to do. And at that moment, that was the moment I knew, but then I lost it because I didn't know. If I'd known I was a 6 in that moment, I would have had a context. I would have understood. I could have explored that more. I could have looked for that connection in my way, because it was in the energy. I was just being in the energy of the universe. And how often do you get to be in a situation like that? Not often enough. True. Where there was nothing interfering with my connection with the universal energy. Yeah. And that's what I'm here to feel is universal energy and to guide and create within that. And so that moment was the moment that I knew and found my personal power. I lost it again and I refound it later when I got my natural number activated. Right. So,
what would you say is one of the most important things you've learned in your life? And what was your life like before you learned it? And what was your life like after learning it?
Well, that's obvious, isn't it? When I learned that I was a natural number 6. So before I found out, I was invalidated for my power. I was asked to slow down. I was asked to be quiet. I was made, especially with men in the work environment, they constantly picked at me and second guessed me and made me wrong. And yet I knew I was right. Yeah. And it was this, so I had lost my compass for who I was. My ex-husband had done that. The men I had worked with had done that. It was just, I was this shell of who I was supposed to be. And I didn't know what to do. And I was anxious. I had a pit of anxiety in my stomach. I wanted to throw up all the time. I just was so sick, nauseous. And the anxiety that was driving my actions was just like, it was like wearing a cloak of iron over my body all the time. And I just was so collapsed. But when I learned all I have to do is expand my chest, I found how I could find the truth in the moment and do my job and not listen to those voices of other people who said, Susan, you're not enough, or you're too much, or whatever they said. And that journey back to finding me has been so much fun.
Beautiful. What do you feel most grateful for in your life?
That I get to see people at the level of their soul, at their beauty. It is just an amazing thing. And of course, I'm grateful for my daughters. They're just beautiful humans. Love them, love them, love them. And I love my husband and my mother, my sisters. I have a tiny family, really, but and I love my family tremendously. I think that's one thing I did get from the learning about being a 6 is I'm here to love people. And that's what I do. I just love you. Yeah. And when you get to be with me, you get my love, and I'm going to love you. And that's part of why I think I'm so good at what I do. It's like, I just love you.
You emanate love. That's it. Yes. How would you like to be remembered?
As one of the people who stood by this knowledge of who we are and got it out in the world and gave an opportunity for the world to evolve. It's like, who are you, Susan, to say something like that? Well, okay, I actually want to be world famous someday. Yeah. It's fine if it happens after I die. I don't care when it happens because this is not about Susan, right?
This is serving a bigger purpose.
Exactly. And so I would like to be attached to that in some way if I need to be. It's not that important to me, but I know that I have to do it in order to make that happen, right?
Right. What does the word empowerment mean to you?
To me, it's knowing how to live from your physiological and spiritual purpose, understanding how your body informs you and what you can do with that, and the gift that's associated with it.
Love it.
It's the most freeing thing that I can offer you.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to jump into a little rapid fire section here. So the next grouping of questions will just be 1, 2, 3, 4 word answer type thing. Okay?
I'll try.
You can do it. I have faith in you. I believe in you, Susan.
Okay. I'll activate my 6.
There you go. How would you describe yourself in one word?
Powerful.
If you were writing your autobiography, what would the title be?
How did Susan do this?
Love it. What is the first thing you notice about a person?
Their natural number.
If you could teach the world one thing, what would it be?
To live freely from your purpose.
What's one thing you want but cannot buy with money?
I want everybody to know their natural number.
If you could change
kind of like a broken record.
That's okay. Hey, these are your answers. That's all right.
It's clear, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you could change one thing about the world, what would you change?
I give them the knowledge of the natural numbers.
That concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. Susan, what is your why?
My why is because I truly care. I truly, truly, deeply care about humanity, about people. And I do believe that we all have the birthright of knowing who we are. And when we know that, we can make the world better because we can only change ourselves, right? But if you don't know who you are, you can't even start. If who you are is not acknowledged and not honored, how do you get started changing?
For sure. What is an unexpected blessing or occurrence in your life that you're grateful for?
Well, I certainly didn't expect to marry a drug addict, alcoholic abuser. That was not a happy time in my life. But if it hadn't happened, I wouldn't be who I am.
Very true.
I just have deep regrets that it impacted my children as powerfully as it did.
If you had the opportunity to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
It would probably be Oprah. I know that's probably a lot of people say that, but she's an 8. And if anybody can help me get this work out into the world, Oprah could help. I know that.
Yeah.
She has the reach, the power, the understanding, and she recognizes truth and she knows how to build something. And so I know that if she engaged around Body of 9, that it would happen.
Well, there's your goal. Meet Oprah.
Well, we've been working on getting ready for exactly that.
There you go. There you go. What do you do to keep yourself inspired every day and inspire others?
I try to remember to connect with somebody personally every day because as a 6, sometimes I just get busy with the tasks.
Yeah.
But I have a 2 daughter who's always comes over and reminds me, there's people out there, Mom, you need to be with the people. So just knowing, just being able to connect with at least 1 or 2 people a day.
Yeah.
I love to identify somebody every day. That's very fulfilling for me.
If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Keep your chest lifted and expanded and don't let people walk all over you.
Well said. Lastly, Susan, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your corner of the world, your tribe, your people, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What would you say? What words of wisdom would you impart?
It's through relationship that we know ourselves, that we become who we need to be, that we live into the richness of our lives, learning to engage with people, to honor, respect, live authentically, and be brave enough to make the changes in the world that need to be made. It's really what life is all about. This is a journey through to whatever, who knows, right? So you've got one chance to live into your purpose and it goes by fast. So get on it.
Get on that train.
Get on it.
Susan, thank you so very much for taking the time to be here today and share about your mission and your purpose in the world, and just for making the time to chat with me and share that with me. I appreciate you so very much. This conversation has been incredibly inspiring. I have thoroughly enjoyed every minute of it, and I just want you to know I appreciate you so much, and I'm so grateful and honored and happy to have you as a member of the Empowerography community, Susan.
Thank you, Brad. It's been really fun, and you're great at what you're doing, so keep doing it.
Thank you. Once again, my name is Brad Walsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest has been Susan Fisher. She is the CEO and co-founder of Body of 9. Thank you so much, Susan. I hope you have an amazing rest of the day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at visuphoria.ca and follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.